Let me share with you the story behind Bissell vs. Shark, because like all great rivalries like Honda vs. Toyota, like Red Sox vs. Yankees, Bissell has really been trying to beat Shark at their own game. And I've reviewed hundreds of vacuums, and finally Bissell is getting something right. And so many different reviewers just read off the features list and hope that you trust them. But here I'm going to share with you what the difference is on carpet, hard floors, and pet hair, so you can see that maybe it's time for the Shark Navigator to take second place and give it up to the Bissell. First is going to be the carpet test. Now the 15.7 pound Bissell pet hair eraser comes with a 9 amp motor, and that's going to be less than the 10 amp motor you get on the Shark Navigator. The big draw is that Bissell added the lift away, but they also added the pet hair eraser, which was the biggest missing feature in the Shark Navigator. Normally, you have to pay up on the Shark Navigator to get that self-cleaning brush roll, but it's about 50% more expensive. And as you can see, because it comes with that tangle-free brush roll, it makes quick work out of picking up all of this lentil, dust, debris, pet hair, long hair, fake hair, synthetic hair that I have mixed on to this medium high pill carpet. And I sped the video up about 400% so you can see how easy it was for the Bissell to pick everything up. Because the Bissell Pet Hair Eraser will outcompete the Bissell CleanView except for in the longest names, because Bissell loves a title or a name that has 8 words in it. And if we compare this to the Shark Navigator on the same carpet test with the brush roll on, the Shark Navigator is going to have more suction power, about 10% more suction power than you get with the Bissell. However, the Shark is not going to have the same performance here because it's going to push some of these items around. So the Navigator's goal is to get as deep into the carpet fibers as possible. However, if you have large messes or a lot of debris, or you have things that might clump up, you will actually have to make repeated passes, and as you can see, it will still push some of it around, and you might not even have to pick up the Navigator and place it on top. Second, let's look at the lift-off mode. Now the lift-off mode is identical to the previous lift-off, so that once you pop it off, there's going to be a little tray there that makes everything easy to place back. It also has a good amount of suction power so that it's going to act like a powerful hand vacuum. It's not going to be more powerful than the Navigator here, except that if you wanted to use it, it's very convenient because you do not have to unwrap the cord in order to remove the lift-off. On the Navigator, you will have to unwrap the cord in order to remove the lift-off. And when you have to open everything up, because you can pop out that filter, it does make easy work to place all the debris in the garbage, or like me, place it back on the floor for round 2. And on hard floors, the Bissell Pet Hair Eraser is going to be great for this larger debris, as well as rice or anything else you might have on your floors that might have dropped, because it has that brush roll. Are there any tangles on the brush roll? No, the brush roll is clear, and it picked up everything, so you could tell by the results. This Bissell Pet Hair Eraser, this new one, is really good. We're going to try this out with the Shark here, so we're just going to use the same exact mess. And I want to see how the Shark Navigator handles this. Are there going to be any tangles on the Shark Navigator? Is it going to have a harder time, easier time? That's the question. Because let's be honest, the Shark Navigator is the king of the value vacuums, and there hasn't been a real competition for it in a long time, at least in this powerful vacuum space. So on hard floors with the Shark Navigator, with this type of mess where you have a lot of larger particles and you have the brush roll on, you'll find it's actually spitting out a lot of the particles behind it. And that's because the brush roll rotates so quickly and it's not really engineered to pick up these kind of messes on hard floors. So if you look at my feet, there's going to be a lot of the debris that just went backwards instead of going inside of the tank. And that's alarming to me. And if you're looking, it kind of spit back everything, because what makes it really good for carpets doesn't necessarily make it really good for hard floors. And that's because if you have the roller on, you're really going to need to have it without the brush roll. Something that the Bissell, you can use it with the brush roll easily. Perfect. Now let's put everything back. And we'll see. Are there any hair tangles? Yes, there's definitely hair tangles now on the Navigator. That's because it doesn't come with any of those anti-tangle brushes. But if you do the same test with the brush roll off, the Shark Navigator is going to perform much better on hard floors. So here I'm laying out the same exact debris, the same exact hair all over our floor again, and without the brush roll on, it does work kind of like a upright canister vacuum, except that it will push some of the debris around. And that's because there's no brush in order to suck it inside and to pull it inside of its tank. So there's a drawback here where without the brush, it's not going to work as well as if you have the brush when you're trying to pick everything off your floors.
You'll definitely notice that the Shark is going to feel a little bit more powerful. I would say that it has increased suction power, and that's because the motor inside the Shark is more powerful than what you get inside the Bissell. And that's because the Bissell Pet Hair Eraser comes with a 9-amp motor versus a 10-amp motor on the Shark. And even though neither one is giving us air watts or actual figures related to their suction power, you can really theorize that because this has a larger motor, it's going to have more suction power, and you will feel it definitely if you have either one on lift-off mode. There's not a huge difference if you're using either one on upright mode because both of them are going to do a great job, and the Bissell is coming with the superior brush roll and just newer technology.
Next, let's talk about features and differences. So if you want to talk about the Bissell Pet Hair Eraser Anti-Allergen Lift-Off, you need to compare it to the Bissell MultiClean Anti-Allergen Lift-Off. And remember, it's really a love child between that one and the Bissell CleanView that you see to my right in red. And if you're talking about maneuverability, Bissell kept the same maneuverability you had on the more premium Bissell MultiClean Lift-Off. So going left and right and swiveling and going back and forth is going to be easier than on the CleanView.
And this is one of the biggest differences between the Shark and the Bissell. The Bissell is going to feel lighter in the hand, and that's because it is lighter. But if you're trying to swivel it, the swivel steering on the Shark Navigator, in my opinion, is just easier to use than on the Bissell. So if I want to go left, if I want to go right, your Navigator, the maneuverability is just going to be more feather touch and lighter than what you get on the Bissell. Doesn't mean the Bissell is doing a bad job, but I think the Shark, their wheels and everything, their bearings are just a little bit smoother. If you want to see how low it can go, they can both go pretty low to the floor. There's no LEDs on the front of your units, so that's not something we're discussing here, but you do get LEDs on some other higher trims from Bissell, just not on the MultiClean. Your Bissell MultiClean will come with the sealed filter system, just like you get on the Pet Hair Eraser with their sealed HEPA system. On your Shark Navigators, they do come with a HEPA. On the Professional, it'll come with sealed. On this version, it's not completely sealed, but close to it.
I suffer from allergies, including for allergies from dust and debris, so it's very important to me that the HEPA filters or the air filters are functional. On the Bissell, it's going to be darker than the all-white HEPA filter you get on the Navigator, and that's because they have some charcoal filter properties locked in.
And you can see that the filters are going to be a little bit different. Your Pet Hair Eraser Allergen Lift-Off gives you the largest one, but your MultiClean will give you the most advanced filter out of the group. What Bissell is really doing is that they made this to compete with the Navigator. And how do you know? Well, they basically took all of the best features outside of the motor and the more aggressive brush roll from the MultiClean and put it into a lighter, smaller unit. So what does that mean? If you're trying to compare these two, or trying to compare all three, you can see they all have the ability to lift off. On your MultiClean, you just pop that. On your lift off here, you just pop that off on the button on the back. And on your Shark, the difference is you just have to press this, it's going to unlock and you can pop it off. But the overall standard design between the two is about the same. Not a huge difference there. It's just that one is bigger than the other. You can open both of them up to remove and unclog the brush roll, as well as change out the belts, which is something nice that you cannot do on the Shark. So if I was to share with you the bottom of the Shark here, the Shark Navigator has a similar configuration, except they're going to have a brush roll indicator light on the bottom. And if you look at the bottoms of each unit, and if you're looking, you can't open up the Shark Navigator easily. You can open up the Bissell just by using a screwdriver. If we're talking about just how big the tanks are, this is going to be the tank on the MultiClean, and this is going to be the dirty tank on your Pet Hair Eraser. So the tanks are the same design. Even the location of the filters and how you clean them are the same. Then if you compare it to the tank here on the Navigator, you have to undo the clips, just pop that out, and it's going to be similar size to the Navigator, maybe even a little bit bigger, but the Navigator is coming with a mesh net while you get a plastic filter here on your Bissell. You can tell what Bissell is going for. They're going for lighter weight as well as more value. Because if you look at the quality of the plastics and the fit, it's not going to be the usual more heavy-duty plastics we're used to.
Ultimately, what's my verdict? Well, the Shark Navigator is the GOAT. It can withstand abuse, you never really have to take care of it, and it still will work well. However, if you ever have tangles or you do end up having a problem, you cannot do what I'm doing on the Bissell to the Shark, which means you can't open it up and you can't replace the brush roll, you can't replace the belt. It's not going to be as easy to work on, and the parts are not going to be as interchangeable. And that's the secret of the Bissell Pet Hair Eraser. They made it easy to work on, they made all the clogs easy to access, and I'm going to post a video just on how to clean this thing, because in about 15 minutes, you can make it brand new again. So the reliability is there, as well as the ability to clean it. In all honesty, the Shark has a little edge on the build quality, but because you can do exactly what I'm doing here, imagine you have a pet, imagine you have a lot of hair, imagine your brush roll is clogged. Think about how easy it is to empty it here. Think about how easy it is if you can take out the brush roll and just directly access all of the tubes inside of your vacuum. Your life is going to be so much easier, and that's what the Bissell is offering you. So I fully recommend the vacuum with one of the longest names ever, the Bissell Pet Hair Eraser Allergen Lift-Off. And is it better than the Shark Navigator? Well, the Shark Navigator is still going to be one of the best vacuums in history. I still own one. Actually, I own 6 of them. But is the Bissell going to be Bissell's best, most affordable value vacuum? Yes, definitely. Is it a Navigator killer? It's awfully close, and I think if they actually put this on sale closer to 100, like we've been seeing, this could be the best value vacuum of 2025, 2026 into the future. So with that, thanks for watching, everybody. If you have any questions, please let me know, and please hit that like and subscribe button. It really does help support our channel. I do a lot of work in showcasing to you the honest truth and not this UGC content that everyone else is posting. So thanks for watching. I'll catch you next time. Bye, bye, bye.